Yep.
It's all good.
Yeah. They
That's
tied
exactly
a
how
bow.
it happened.
Great book, guys.
Good
On
night.
to the
Yeah.
next.
That's the end of
Walk
it.
Jake home. I mean,
Walk
Yeah.
Jake home.
and he went home to Annie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lived happily ever after.
The man in black learned his damn lesson.
Yep,
And,
Repent.
brought them all back from
The
the dead
end.
and went on.
The acid trip ended, and we're good. Everything was fine.
The acid trip
I'm
part
not
is
sure what
awesome.
the
All
second book is
dream.
about now. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they
He's
could
still
really
with the fucking
continue from
Oracle,
there.
isn't he? He's still with the Oracle. That's all it is.
No sex.
Shit.
Can someone send Modus a message and just check and see if he's
I didn't. Let me add him.
working on it? No pressure or anything. Don't make him feel like we're waiting on you. But like just see if he's
Good.
feeling
Good
nice.
afternoon, sir. Do you plan on joining us?
Is that like your 2 minutes of popping in, saying hello, and leaving, or what?
I mean, you know, if he has stuff to do, he has stuff to do.
He's offline.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
he broke his shit.
Probably. Internet
She's-
probably went down.
I thought he was using his phone.
I think he
Maybe
was.
his
Yeah.
phone died.
His phone could have died, but I don't know.
All right. Well,
Right before he's like, yeah, I don't know why I keep having this problem
right.
where I can't be heard. I don't
So
know. I asked him about the noise suppression if it was on, and then he's like, all right, let me check. And that's the
Did-
last thing I heard.
You broke his shit.
oh, you broke it.
My fault, y'all. Hey, I'm just sorry.
Terribly sorry.
Terribly sorry. Well, I've got the stream started, so don't worry though. No one's watching.
It's okay.
I told them not to watch. I said they're not allowed to.
That's important.
I said if you do watch, don't say anything though.
Oh, shit. I feel
Absolutely no one. Can one of my mods delete that so that guy doesn't think we're actually here? Thanks.
No, don't block.
Why can't I get in? What the fuck? You're out of book club, sir.
to the library. So, is it library or library?
It's
It's
library,
library.
but I mean, you can library all you want. It's
What
not
do
gonna bother me.
What do you say, Steve? Library or library?
Library.
It's yeah, same as.
Library.
Do you say February or do you say February?
I say February.
You say
Not
February.
rude. I said February.
All of you know my enunciation is the shit, so I can't even get into this.
Say February.
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 Yeah.
February.
There's a W in there, so where's February?
February.
Yeah.
February.
February.
It's the falafel month.
I know
Or
you
the
can always
weekday.
change how you pronounce things. I used to say pecan, but now I slip up and say pecan.
Pecan.
My dad
you're-
been
that
down there
fancy.
too long.
You say it that way too. You say pecan.
I say pecan. Yeah, that's the fancy way.
Yeah, the first.
I thought
time
you were
said it-
mocking her for being fancy.
No, I wasn't. I was agreeing. That's the fancy ass way to say it. It's pecan,
No.
not pecan
the first
or
time I said
pecan.
Pecans.
Oh, when people say pecans,
Pecans. I've heard a couple people say pecans. I'm like, what the fuck?
that's a quick way to like get under my skin. Like you're not even trying.
I also say
You got-
peanuts.
it has them pecans on it. You know what I mean?
Peanuts.
I call
Pecans.
it peanut.
You got a pecan pie?
Pecan pie
Yeah,
with some
pecan
peanuts.
pie.
Yes, pecan. But now it feels weird to say it like that way. I'm so used to saying pecan because the first time I said pecan, he gave me such a look. I was like, what the fuck did you just
Sorry.
say?
Pecan. Sorry, that's what it was. Pecan pie.
Pecan pie with peanuts.
Yeah, I think so. That's
the worst pie, by the way.
that. The people that.
Well,
If somebody was to say it like that, I would imagine that's how they talk.
I can't say much. My dad picked up text.
What's your favorite kind of pie?
Favorite
It's
pies.
in my belly.
Favorite pies and go. Okay,
Oh,
mine's strawberry
what are the
rhubarb.
Kool-Aid ones?
Lemon meringue.
Strawberry rhubarb is good.
Dude, it's like my favorite pie.
So good. Lemon meringue is good.
Coconut.
Sometimes the meringue is too much.
Danielle's is key
Now I'm
lime.
hungry for pie. Yes, key lime
Key
pie.
lime,
So
really? Eh?
Yeah, she loves that shit.
Key lime is.
It's definitely
Carolina's.
good pie, but you have to actually come have it made with the key limes. Otherwise, it's not really a key lime pie.
Oh, I got Tam some gelato.
That's
that was
intense.
key lime cheesecake.
oh, it was so
I like
good.
homemade blueberry pie.
Blueberry's
Yes,
delicious.
blueberries.
My friend's grandma used to make like the old school, like 1800s type of like pie crust. You know, like the really old recipe that's like been in the family for like ever, with like a homemade blueberry pie. She'd go pick her own blueberries and everything. It was the best.
So Modus has been typing for about 5 minutes now.
Oh,
I don't know
damn.
if he's like just giving us his entire take on the book, like a full summary, or
Is
He keeps typing
editing?
"wait" for me over and over.
If you say his name, all I think is trust the Midas touch. I don't know what it is.
It's just wait for me and once with the long E.
It's just one at a time. W A.
Enter.
what the doot? Modus?
Do.
I'm gonna like my own stream because I'm that cool.
Hey, that's how you do.
People liking it.
Are we gonna go ahead and do both chapters then?
Yes.
I guess it's all depending on what, like,
What this long ass message. is
yeah,
gonna
like
be.
when Modus is done writing his whole chapter, maybe we'll be able to see.
Hope he's got like the key to life or something he's typing there.
He's probably telling us the full fucking synopsis and. Oh shit! You just stopped it from typing.
He's like, you fuckers are talking shit about me.
Oh no, it says I would love to, but it's been a long week. Oh no, wait.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he's out.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll pop in later, catch the spot. I can't get out of the funk. Okay. Cool. Okay. Easy. And go fuck yourself. No.
Are you alright? Let's sit outside for a minute then. Stick your head out the window. I don't know.
Damn caps lock. Shit.
Why are you yelling at him, man?
He deserves it.
He's had a long enough week.
Ain't it?
He needs to know he's done wrong.
Okay, but so then, like, I'm gonna let's go ahead. Let's talk about the last chapter 2 then. It's called The Man in Black and the Gunslinger and the Man in Black.
Yes.
And it is the conclusion to the book, but not to the series, of course. You have to wait 20 years, and then we'll read the next book.
Sir,
Yep.
I'm going to be
20 years,
67 before we discuss the next book.
That's how long you have to read it. Going with like the speed we've gone through
covered
this
the
book,
first one.
we may need about that long to finish the series. So
Excellent.
I thought that King's like one of his staples was not having many chapters in his book. They're just long ass chapters.
I've
I
never
know,
heard
it's
that.
really-
That's what I thought.
Reasonably short.
No, he He does like
He does like
chapters and then sub-chapters.
subchapters, and he also does like sections inside the subchapters sometimes
I
too.
like the
Yes.
I like
yes,
the
and a lot of his
sub-chapters.
research section out. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
can we-
he also does things where he'll like start with a flashback or,
Yeah, I would never say he's not one for chapters. 'cause
yeah, he
I
definitely.
no. I mean, like-
Subchapters,
I
because
mean, like
if we're-
main chapters, like main ideas.
Oh, I like the subchapters because when we're talking, then we can go like chapter 3, part 4, or some shit like
Yeah.
that. You know,
Yeah.
I love
sounds all
that.
fancy and shit.
Well, let's get into
Paragraph
thing.
2.
Can we read by sub chapters for the next book?
Yeah, if you want to wait till you're 67 to finish, we just
Okay.
talked about that.
Oh, sorry.
Also, hi, we're on camera now. Hello.
On camera,
We are live on YouTube. It is what, Friday night? It's like the 29th.
people. Friday night.
Is it 29th of April?
Yep.
Right, yep.
Yes.
Tomorrow's the last day of April.
Shit, 29th of April. So then, we're also gonna go ahead and finish out the book, The Gunslinger, by Stefan Kinga. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Can't really pronounce it wrong.
Stefan
Kinga.
Kinga.
Yes, Kinga.
Kinga.
Really enjoyed
Go
it.
to your local bookstore and pick it up.
Yeah,
asking
but
for
always
it.
buy your books with cash.
Yeah.
Don't leave no trail. Government don't need to know what you're buying.
Yeah, ain't no damn business.
Ain't their damn
Come on now.
business.
Well, I
Okay,
use
no
the
doubt,
library.
Libraries.
Yes,
So
it was a what fucking shit. Like the beginning of the book, the first 3 chapters, it's like, all right, let's ease you in, and then let's push you a little more. Oh, let's meet the fucking Oracle. Okay, slow mutants. All right, hold on to your fucking pants.
yeah,
Let's go.
so yeah, like especially because like it kind of starts with like a flashback where he's talking about I guess it was the dance, right? How they had it in the Great Hall, and
Yeah.
like all the gunslingers were there, and like all the like nobility, I guess, was there.
It was like a big party.
Yeah. But there was also like something that happened in the party where the magician pretty much danced with Roland's mother. But they danced like
Martin.
they danced like super sexy.
It was a courting rite.
It was like a super sexy dance, and
It had people asking questions.
yes, it was definitely like a blatant
Sewing night cotillion.
kind of like obvious move.
It made people very uncomfortable.
And this whole time he's thinking about it, they're like pretty much just like wandering in the dark on this path in this like cavernous, mountainous path, and they come across was it tracks? Jake finds some tracks in the ground.
Yep.
It's kind of creepy in there, but
Real creepy and dark.
they found some tracks and started following the tracks, and they eventually come across one of those little like honestly, when I read this I was pretty young, so I didn't quite understand. Like, I thought everyone knew about those like little hand cars that you always see in cartoons, and people like usually it's like
Yeah, the
some
little-
fucking wino or some bum is like you know
Or Wile E. Coyote.
yeah
Yeah, some hobos leaving town and shit.
yeah, it's like he's hightailing it. But it's just like him. Like, it's always just like one person. But, you know, Roland and Jake, they both like share, you know, kind of share the pumping, and they work together, and they actually get this thing moving. There's a really kind of weird automated voice that pops up like, hey, you know, here's a couple of advertisements, and then like it never talks again.
What the fuck's an advertisement?
But like one of those advertisements is for what, like gas or something, wasn't it?
Amico, lead free. Amico had become the totem of a thunder god, and they had worshipped.
That's what it
him with the
was. Roland was
slaughter.
remembering a quasi-religious power. Yeah. There was like a hermit crouched beside one of the old filling stations. What did he say? Amico had become the totem of a thunder god, and they worshipped him with the slaughter of sheep and the sound of engines.
Yeah.
Push again. Push again.
Fucking weird. Like, if you listen to the audio book, he almost made it sound sensual for a minute there when he was talking about it.
Yeah.
So, like, when I was listening to this part, I was like, what? What the fuck?
Yeah, he's like,
Suggesting
This
they
is
eat
a hand
crispala. That's what it was. Nothing satisfied at the end of the hard day like larchies. Just some weird fucking automated voice. Speaking outside of the weird cart. And then all of a sudden they come across this old station, right? That's what's next?
yeah, the gas station, right?
Well, I think
No,
first,
gas
actually,
station's later.
first he asks him to tell him about his coming of age.
Yes, he does.
Um,
And when he did sleep, it was like the dead. The boy spoke less and less, but at their stopping place, one sleep period not long before they were attacked by the slow mutants. He asked the gunslinger almost shyly about his coming of age. It's 217, right before chapter or subchapter 5 or
yeah,
4.
yeah. And like pretty much the story that Roland's telling here is that like one summer things got really, really bad, super hot. He decided he's gonna go. I think they say find his hand. I think.
Yeah, he did.
Is how. Yeah. But he's gonna go distribute some literature. Steve. What's the other one? He's taking care of business, probably on the roof, I guess. But he gets called into his mother's chamber by that same wizard guy, and then pretty much just like blatantly shows him that they've been doing each other, and then pretty much was just like, and what are you gonna do about it? Kind of a thing. Which then like forced him to feel like I'm gonna become a man and then kill you. So it pushes him into starting the rites of manhood, which I guess for the gunslingers is beating the shit out of your teacher. Pretty much like being able to like beat the shit out of him, which I'm not sure that would fly in today's society, but I wouldn't mind seeing that happen every now and again. Like can you imagine like an entire class of like 5th graders all mobbing their teacher just so they can make it to 6th grade?
All sit and they'd be like, "I've learned enough from you. Now I feel I can challenge you."
Right? Yeah. And like,
Leading
and that's
them in the gym. I don't know about that.
You, teacher, are dumb.
Like, did you climb that rope today? I don't fucking feel like it.
but like Roland actually has to like use the high speech, and like it's part of the ritual of becoming a man. He like challenges his teacher, and there's a pretty fun exchange there where he talks about I'm not gonna ask you again, like cry off, like
Get
wait.
the fuck out of here. Like, go.
He's like, just
Stop.
just wait, like you're not ready, like I don't usually say this, but like fucking like wait. And he asks like 3 times like not to, but then he does it again. Like he's like hell-bent on fighting this fight, and he chooses a very unconventional weapon it's his old hawk from like the earlier story.
All I
From
think
where
was
him
some
and
old
Cuthbert-
ass decrepit bird.
Yeah, I mean he's at the end of his life,
Imagine.
and you know you remember like earlier, like when they mentioned the hawk, that Court told him that the hawk is God's gunslinger. You know, because it's a killer himself. You know, he's like nature, like cold trained killer. So, you know, you always have to be cautious when you're around him. That's what he told him pretty much when he like ripped his wrist up earlier in the book. So, you know, like between that time and now, you find out that he's been like befriending this bird like this whole time. He's been making friends with it, probably
And then he had
feeding
to
it,
rely.
getting to know it. Yeah.
Yeah, he had to like rely on it to like not come after him for once.
Well,
you
but
know,
also
and-
he kept him till he was old. Like there usually isn't old hawks because they end up dying because their life is like hard. Like you know that's part of the hawk life. But he kept this hawk alive well beyond his years.
And loyalty, that was the other thing he mentioned about instead
Right.
of like abusing it, he loved it.
Right.
He
Probably
cared.
at this point he's not you know hunting for himself. So he's probably relying on him to like feed him. So there's probably something there that like isn't necessarily like spelled out for you, but like he does mention how you know David is my weapon. Like that's his choice. And I mean he like does what he's supposed to do too. Like he pretty much gives his life he to be that weapon. He ends up ripping Court's face to pieces, and in order for Court to even get the bird off his face, he has to hit himself with his own stick, like 3 really hard time in the face.
Yeah.
And then
And
they
he's getting fucking gouged.
the
His
dog.
cheeks are ripped.
yeah, and then even like he survives that, and they like scuffle about for a while, and then Roland throws the bird at him
One
again.
eye.
It's one thing to flip a bird off your masterpiece, but the whole fucking thing's different.
But
Bird's wings are broken, and it was just trying to attack fucking everything with its talons and beak.
yes. Eventually, though, it came down to it, and Roland beat him, and
He took Court's stick.
yeah, he took his stick. He
What
says,
was funny is
I yield,
right
Gunslinger,
before-
I yield, smiling. You have this day remembered the face of your father and all those who came before him. What a wonder you have done. He said he's the youngest ever to pass the test to become a gunslinger.
Yeah. What I think was funny is before, whenever he was challenging him, he asked him, "How many times has your stick been taken?"
Yeah.
I was like,
He said,
this is gonna be
you
interesting.
know, many times, but none by such as you or something like that, I think.
He says my stick won't be taken today or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, so pretty much he like uses this friend of his to the end until he dies.
So no stick will be taken from me today. I regret it. There is only the once, boy. The penalty for overeagerness is the same as the penalty for unworthiness. Can you not wait?
Can you not wait? He's trying to get him to like,
I can stop.
yeah,
The
and even
person
after
is
he,
ready.
Don't be stupid.
even
Don't
after he
be
beats him, he tells him again like, he says, let your shadow grow hair on its face or something.
Yeah. Since I can't teach you no more, will you take my counsel? I think that's what he was saying.
Let the
then he's
word
going
and the
through and talking
legend
about
go before you.
wait.
Yeah. Let your shadow grow hair on its face. Let it become dark. Given time, words may even enchant an enchanter. He's telling him like, wait, you know, like don't
stupid.
immediately like fight this fight, but
Here it is. Let the world Let the word and legend go before you. There are those who will carry both. Both, perchance, let your shadow grow, hair on its face. Let it become dark. Given time, words may, even enchanted enchanter, do you take my meaning, Gunslinger? That's the part he was trying to tell him to
Yeah.
wait. Wait a little bit.
Well, it's at this point that like you kind of understand a little more about Jake's role in this whole deal and how the trap was set. Earlier in the book when the Man in Black killed him in the other world. And so now you've got this friend of Roland's. He saves him from everything. He saves him from the entire thing, takes him in the mountains, right? He saves him from the Oracle, saves him from these mutants. And then when it comes time to either choose to pursue the quest for the Dark Tower or turn back and catch him, he does the same thing. He does the same thing he did with the Hawk, right? He threw his friend as a weapon, like used him as a stepping stone.
But
Yep.
I think Jake kind of like
Well, there was a part right in the chapter. Are we jumping to chapter 5 now? Is that where we're at already?
Well, you know, there
Right
was
before it.
that
It's right before
whole deal with the mutants. Like there was a lot like that actually happened there. I don't know about doing a play-by-play for that
Yeah, but
necessarily.
There was a lot of
it's a
shit.
long-
Yeah, because
there-
like they found that station and they dealt with the mutants like 3 or 4 times, and they end up like, you know, they pile a bunch of rocks on the tracks to like slow them down, and you know it's a whole like action scene, but you
There's a lot
know,
of near misses building up to
Yeah.
the final
Yeah.
decision.
and a lot of it is
There's a lot
him
of blind
continually
spots.
saving the kid from death. You know, he's constantly
Yep,
putting
and
him in places
protecting.
where he could die, but he doesn't. Helps him out.
And save me.
Then they get to the place where the tracks are broken and there's like trellises missing and it's getting worse and worse.
He says, the cross of the stone piers leaped easily down onto the handcar. You made a deal with someone. I know you did, the boy said. Gunslinger didn't reply. The boy's face were clenched, his features drawn in agony. How easily you bluffed this young boy, the gunslinger told himself. Again and again, his wonderful intuition, his touch, has led him to this point. And again, you have led him on past it. And how difficult could it be? After all, he has no friends but you.
Yeah.
So it's like he is really in his head right now.
Very much. And then you've got... Where's he at? He says, "Are you over?" when they're like jumping from like trellis to trellis. Yar, the boy said, but it's very rotten, like the ideas of certain people, maybe. I don't think it will hold you any further than you are now. Me, but not you. Go back and leave me alone.
Yeah, like whenever I heard that part, it was sort of like, to me, it was sort of like he was in a trance. Like he automatically realized he's like, this shit is not gonna hold you.
Well, Jake also knew what well, he didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but he knew he wasn't like going to make it out alive. So at this point, he was like, just
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
leave me the
because
fuck alone. I'm going. But obviously, that isn't how that worked.
like he heard every time that the Man in Black mentioned that, you know, that he wasn't gonna make it. Like he made it very obvious to Jake that he knew he was gonna die again.
And Jake had asked a couple of times, "You're gonna kill me, aren't you?" And he didn't lie to him, but he didn't outright. He's like, "Okay, come on," without like telling him no.
He always changed the subject or didn't say anything at all. Like
At this point, Jake knew.
Well, there's
as soon as he made the connection between David and him, that he was just a poker chip in a game. He's like, he questioned,
He-
do men ever grow, or do they just...
It's like his emotions got shut off from it. Almost, he's like, okay, well, it's you already know, he's gonna end up hurt if he keeps being like super attached. So,
Right. And Roland knew, he knows, like, I can't get attached because I'm going to use him like David, and like
Exactly.
everybody else.
His quest is more important.
Yeah, he is blinded by that.
There's something that is said kind of at the end, like just as like the Man in Black is saying to Roland, like, what does he say exactly? Like, no more games, come now, Gunslinger, or catch me never.
Yeah.
All the chips on the table, every card up but one. The boy dangled a living tarot card, the Hanged Man, the Phoenician sailor, innocence lost, and barely above the wave of a Stygian sea. There's one thing that he does say that's really important there, just before he drops. I think it's one of my favorite lines in this book. He says, "Go then, there are other worlds than these."
Yep. I thought that was very interesting when he said that too. Because it was like, all of a sudden he's like, help me. And then he's like, okay, you know what? I've accepted it. Go ahead and go on. And he was like,
He could tell that
just
he's
letting you
definitely
know
not
it's
going to
okay.
save him. Yeah.
It's okay then. He understood the assignment. It's like,
He didn't even scream.
nope.
Do you
No
think that was
sound.
him like accepting Roland's
Yes,
choice?
please.
He's like, okay, I get it.
I think so. I think he realized how determined that Gunslinger really was, and he understood that he had to do this. Like he maybe he like reflected on what he's told him, all of it. So he just bravely took.
I like
his
that.
fate.
I've never thought of it that way. Like I always thought of it as like him saying, "Well, fuck you."
Yeah. No, I think it was a little more than that. I think he finally like got it, and that's why he didn't scream when he dropped, because he just accepted that was the fate.
I think they've also had enough experience to realize that this may not be the end for Jake. Jake has memories of what happened within the train station way back when he was pushed onto the tracks.
Right.
So in order to help the Gunslinger go to the next stage, he didn't have any fear of it, because he figured, like he says, there's other worlds. He'll probably pop up in another place.
Okay,
Is what the realization would be at that point.
Chris, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah, I just muted myself.
Okay.
We got Napoleon Dynamite in the background,
Oh.
and it's the dance scene.
Oh, we can't hear any of it. So
The talent show?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've only seen that movie once. I was in youth group, and it
This
was
is
either that or
Jackson's
Home.
first viewing.
Yeah.
Get down.
After that, he actually makes it to the other side of the mountain, steps out into the light, and drew his guns, of course. He's the gunslinger. If he doesn't pull his guns out, what good is he, right? Drew his guns and missed
If he ain't slinging,
12 times.
12 times. And this is after he shot a line of people in a row, an entire damn
Missed
town.
12 times.
But there's something about the Man in Black that disorients him or something, or throws him off.
wins
He says, now.
his perception.
Now. We make great magic together, you and I. You kill me no more than you kill yourself.
I think that's kind of. I just want to take a step back and talk about Roland's decision to have to let Jake go, and at what point in the trial he has to let him go. Trial is an interesting point about it too,
Yeah.
because Jake is just a trap set by the Man in Black all this entire time. The same as the people in the town, or the woman in the town was, and I can't think of another one. Because,
Yeah, but there's been people like,
How bad
absolutely.
do you want me?
But-
How bad do you want this?
Exactly. How bad do you want this? And like he says, no more games. This, if you do not let him go, you're not going to get me.
It was the
Yeah.
town, the boy, the Oracle. I'm sure the Oracle was some of his doing too.
Well, there was so first it was Nort, right? It was the weed
And then Nort,
the weed
yeah.
eater. But he was a trap for Allie, who was a trap for Roland. Who was a trap for the preacher woman.
Yes.
And then beyond that, now there's Jake. Like, he survived that clusterfuck. So then the next tactic is, will you love somebody and still let them go in pursuit of the tower?
And even
what are you willing to give up to
Yeah.
be here?
And even all the experiences on the track with the rocks and the slow mutants
Right.
was him again trying to keep Jake alive as long as he could till it finally got to the point where I can't go any further.
Right.
You pop. Look at this damn thing.
She's
Look at this
so-
damn cat.
Aw.
She's
Oh
rubbing
my
her belly.
gosh, Torty cats are so cute. Cat little.
Kitty.
I love them.
So
Her
this
name
is
is Mephistopheles.
That's
this
not
is
the
where we
song.
reach like the next part of it, called the Gunslinger, the Man in Black. It's chapter 5. It is the end of the book,
The parlay.
and it
This-
is
This chapter fucked with me.
So y'all are special. We're giving y'all a 2-parter finale. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So the Man in Black is sitting there talking to him about He's like,
Palavering.
let's go palaver over y'all.
Palaver.
Yeah,
yes.
I used the wrong word. Sorry.
I love it.
And the place is called a Golgotha. It's like fucking
It's the place of
the
bones.
death zone. It's a rotting pit,
Um,
pretty much.
He also mentions that he's in the West right here. He says, "I'm in the West. It's not.
That's pretty.
If it's not mid-world, then it's close by." So like he can tell that he's changed
Feel it.
from in-world or out-world, wherever he came from. He can
Through
tell that he's in
tunnel.
a different place now.
The vibes are different.
Something
The
about
Man
it
in
for
Black,
sure.
He also tells him as he's sitting on an ironwood log. Everything was like powdered dust and shit.
Oh, and they were
Uh,
talking about they call it a white xylophone. You're an alabaster xylophone of a hen peasant. Yeah, something about to do with like bones all over the place.
The alabaster xylophone of a hen pheasant killed as she fed. They're the tiny, delicate bones of a mole, perhaps killed for pleasure by a wild dog.
Yeah. Like,
Dead shit everywhere.
So what did you guys think of the Man in Black? Is
I
he what
think
you
that
expected?
Not in the beginning. I thought he was going to be more solemn like Roland is. And then we get to like the town and then Mortar when they talk more and then this part. And then I'm like, he kind of gives me a Mad Hatter vibe
Yes,
from like
That's-
Alice in Wonderland. That like crazy, but not like
that kind of
bad
flip.
type of crazy.
They can flip.
Well, first he
but
reads
also-
him, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
like first he reads him, and then they get moving.
So as soon as he sees the gunslinger and he approaches him, he's like, "Gather wood. This side of the mountains is gentle, but at this altitude, the cold still may put a knife in one's belly.
Yeah.
This is a place of death, eh?" He's like stuck to his mission. "I'll kill you," and he's like, "No, you won't. You can't."
All I can think
But
is
you
like a
can't.
pissed off toddler or
You
pissed
can
off
gather
kid.
wood though.
I hate you, and it's like, okay, that's fine. Just clean your damn room. Lose your goal.
Like, you'll learn.
It's like you're gonna
No.
listen anyways. It's fine. You can bitch, you can complain, and just get the fucking wood.
I see the Men in Black as a seer. Like he's able to see those 10, 20, even 50 steps ahead.
Well-
Whoever his master is, I believe.
he can't
Yeah.
see everything clearly because I mean he doesn't
Listen,
know what's going to happen. Like I feel like he's also as reactive to the situation as Roland is.
But his approach is more chaotic.
I think one of the things that like you understand right away is like
But it's precise.
he's not talking like somebody who's in charge. This is not the big bad guy.
He's just the messenger.
He's
Quite
he's
literally.
just part of it.
It's just he's
Oh,
just
fuck.
there to put a message,
He-
and he really needed to make sure that like Roland had to earn said message. He had to earn it to prove that he really, really wanted it.
That
Instead
makes
of just
sense.
somebody that goes, "Oh well, I'm gonna go do the thing," and then like half-heartedly do it and not be dedicated to it. So to get the message, Roland had to go through like the Oracle and Jake and
Trial.
all the other things is to show that he he cares
He's
so much
devoted.
about it. He doesn't give a shit about his feelings and stuff like that for other people. It's just another piece of the chess game.
Well, when he meets him, he says, "I expected an older man."
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Why? I am nearly immortal, as are you, Roland, for now at least. I could have taken a face with which you would have been more familiar, but I elected to show you this one, the one I was born with. See Gunslinger, the sunset. You won't see another sunrise for what may seem a very long time." This is where things get real trippy.
Where are you at? What page?
On this book,
Is it after the
274.
After the tarot?
chapter 2.
Okay. Report.
It is just before he reads his fortune.
Yeah.
I think this is the important part to go through here, because they talk a lot about the tarot cards. They have kind of a mysterious connotation.
He makes me think of a magician because of the fact he does like
He does
cards
readings.
and the other things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the person he's the one who resurrected the guy in Tull. Like, he brought a man back from the dead. He went into one world, killed a child, and then made sure that he was, reborn into a different world in Roland's path. Like, there's definitely some shit going on.
Yep.
Or did he just bring him to this world and it was different? Like, he had to die in one world to live in another.
You are the world's last adventurer, the last crusader. How that must please you, Roland. Yet you have no idea how close you stand to the tower now. As you resume your quest, the world turns about your head.
Yes, perfect. He's talking about the tarot and about, like, Roland's part in, like, playing it. He reads, the first card comes up, the Hanged Man. He says, "Yet here, in conjunction with nothing else, it signifies strength, not death. You, Gunslinger, are the Hanged Man, plodding ever onward toward your goal over the pits of Nar. And you've already dropped one co-traveler into that pit, have you not? The next card is the Sailor. Note the clear brow, the hairless cheeks, the wounded eyes. He drowns Gunslinger, and no one throws out a line. The boy Jake. The third card, a baboon, stood grinning astride a young man's shoulder. The young man's face was turned up, a grimace of stylized dread and horror on his features. Looking more closely, the Gunslinger saw the baboon held a whip. The prisoner, the man in black said. A trifling upsetting, isn't he? The fourth card,
Came to the verge of laughing.
the Lady of Shadows. Does she look two-faced to you, Gunslinger? She is. Two faces at least. She broke the blue plate. What do you mean? I don't know. And in this case, at least the Gunslinger thought his adversary was telling the truth. Why are you showing me this? Don't ask, merely watch. Consider this only pointless ritual if it eases you and cools you to do so, like church. So he's telling him, like, I have no idea. I'm just doing a reading, right? Isn't that what people who do that tell you? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just reading it. Like, I'm not making it happen, right?
All by interpretation.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
terrors.
But whenever I was reading this, I kind of got that feeling of the at the fair, come one, come all. You know what I mean?
Well, then he turns the fifth card and it's death, but he says what? He says, yet not for you. And the card after that is the Tower, and he says it softly.
Here is the tower.
What's just the thing that he's looking for?
Hold on, let me see if I can do it. Here's the tower.
And then he covers it over the Hanged Man, which is Roland. And he says, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then he ends up, like, not talking to him at all about it. He won't say anything. And then he pulls the seventh card, and the seventh card is life. But then again he says, but not for you.
He's like, where does it fit in the pattern? Well, that's not for you to know, or for me
Not
to know.
now, though.
I'm not the great one you seek, Roland. I am merely the
Emissary, which means he's just a messenger from somebody higher above.
He's giving him the breadcrumbs. That way he could learn without his mind exploding.
So then he says, "Go to sleep, and maybe you'll dream." Then he says, "What my bullets won't do, mayhap my hands will." And then he like jumps at him to try and kill him. But it says the man in black, smiling, swelled in his vision and then retreated down a long and echoing corridor. The world filled with the sound of sardonic laughter, and he was falling, dying, sleeping. He dreamed. And this is where
It gets like
This is where shit
Biblical.
gets real trippy.
it definitely
Actually,
gets really trippy. There's a
well, it
almost
reminds
like
me
a
of Genesis of
Yeah,
what
but-
they do.
Genesis mixed with like a Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
Because there's like that weird like
just
ultra
don't know.
dimensional kind of feeling to all of it as well, where there's like alternate realities and
But it pulls you every time. It like,
a lot of what's here is very symbolic, rather than it being literal, because you're kind of like in a dream.
and he's just floating there.
And he's got to figure out what the message is. There's a message in all of that. It's got to make sense. Like, okay, who's the higher one that he's talking about for one? You know, who is the emissary? Who is he an emissary to? And then you got to like connect that to like with all of the rest of it. And then he's like trying to help him make sense of like the thing that really tricked me was like how many universes are inside of like each grain of sand, something like that. After the weeks farther ahead, sorry about that. It was interesting because when they keep talking about how there's like other worlds, how many other worlds? This is where
Right.
everything gets really strange.
Right, and it's like
I don't know. He's trying to show him it all in a way that he makes sense without actually showing him it all, so that his brain doesn't like melt.
It's sort of it's sort of like the man in black is now like the announcer, and he's just in this fucking like projection room or some shit, and he's like, "All right, let's have a little light."
but there's like
Now,
a cycle
darkness
to it,
overhead
right?
with
Like he
stars
like
in it,
wakes
water
up.
down below.
He like wakes up after that first dream. Where like pretty much he's just being told, "Let there be light, let there be light, let there be light," and it's like he's like changing. He's going through like solar systems and galaxies, and he's seeing planets far away, and he's like just smashing and crashing through worlds upon worlds, and like there's this like kind of creation feel to it all, but it's also like a dream that like when he finally wakes up, like it's almost as if he's being given like knowledge. Like he's been put into a trance and he's like absorbing something, and his brain is just trying to turn it into an experience that he can understand.
It's like a weird acid trip. Sounds like.
Yeah, and then like, you know, the next thing is like the man in black tells him pretty much like what that is like the universe. That's existence. You know, that's how. That's how we exist. That's what is out there. That's, you know, you pretty much have awareness of the universe.
He fled the light and the knowledge the light implied, and so came back to himself. Even so do the rest of us. Even so the best of us. Still nighttime. It's like an eternal night while he's sitting there talking to the man in black. Time is standing still right now, is how I feel.
Sort of, except for the fact that when they come back, like a lot's changed, but things have like not changed, if that makes any sense. Like he's changed.
In years.
10.
10
Oh,
fucking
that's
years. His hair's.
Like when he said stuff about his hair, I was thinking like a receded hairline, like a horseshoe shape. But I think I'm a little off on that. No, this whole thing though, he shows him so much that it takes 10 years, but it's like he was only there for like a minute. So.
So here's also like
That could be like he was in a pocket dimension or some shit.
Mhm.
Yep.
Traveling through space and time.
As soon as he went in and got with the Man in Black, I think that was when he entered, and then once he left,
I think it was interesting
I moved
When-
there.
the Man in Black showed him more of who he actually was. Like, he's always been in Roland's life, or at least represented people in Roland's life too. Like,
I
when
mean,
he
yeah.
mentions about being like Martine.
Yeah, when you guys talk
And
about
then-
him being just a guide, I think he's more
he's-
than that. I think he's still
Yeah.
very much a puppet master.
Oh yeah, because he
yeah.
mentions about being Martine, and then he mentions about like when Roland comes back, but Martine's not there. There's like a monk, which is also him. Like, he takes on many different shapes and
Yep.
forms, and has made a difference in this whole journey from the very beginning. Because if he was the Martine guy that made Roland go and become the gunslinger early, he pushed him into it. When you think about it like that, like the Man in Black started it.
He also
His
pushed
bender.
Jake into traffic.
Yep. Thinking of that, who is Isaac?
So Isaac is
I don't
the son of
remember.
Abraham. He's the one who God asked Abraham to kill his son.
Yep.
And then he had him up on the altar and ready to do it, and then he's like, okay, never mind.
Well, an angel
But-
told him there was another way and gave him a ram,
Yeah.
like a
So-
different sacrifice.
At the beginning of this chapter, it says, "But you can gather wood to remember your Isaac."
Yeah, he's just
So-
saying, like,
But
Hey.
he's all. I think that it is going to mean something deeper than just the biblical term.
Well, when he says "remember your Isaac," he's I think he was referring to Jake, which was his sacrifice that he made to get there to show his
Yeah, that does
dedication.
make more sense.
Because when Abraham went to
Sorry.
sacrifice Isaac, it was to show how dedicated to God he was,
Yeah.
how dedicated and how true and how far he would go for him.
right.
So that's what he did with Jake. So
Well, then
Yeah.
he tells him like after he gets back from this
I wouldn't
crazy
have
ass
taken
dream,
that
like
way.
I never could have sent that vision to your father. He would have come back drooling.
Oh,
And-
it broke him.
Yeah, and then he says, "You want the tower?" And Roland says, "Yes." He says, "Well, you shan't have it. No one cares in the councils of the great if you pawn your soul or sell it outright, Roland. I have an idea of how close to the edge that last pushed you, and the tower will kill you half a world away." He's like trying to warn him off. He said, "I made your father and I broke him. I came to your mother as Martin. There was a truth you always expected, is it not? And took her. She bent beneath me like a willow, although this may come for you. She never broke. In any case, it is written, and it was, and I am the furthest minion of he who now rules the dark tower, and earth has been given into that king's red hand."
and then he mentions why a red hand. Like, what's the significance of like a red hand?
That's right. He says, "You'll never mind. Will not
Red
speak of him,
handed.
although you learn more than you cared to if you press on. What hurt you once will hurt you twice. This is not the beginning, but the beginning's end. You do well to remember that, but you never do." I don't understand.
Yeah,
No, you don't. You never will. You never did. You never will. You have no imagination. You're blind that way. So
So it's like he's been trying to show him many times,
Mm-hmm. So it's like, I know they keep
and
saying
now
like worlds.
he's starting to finally pay attention a little bit, but
Yeah.
still not at the level he should.
It sounds like he's not even halfway there yet, because he says that the dark tower will kill you from halfway across the earth, as if he's still got more sacrifices and more hardships to go through before he even gets there. And the Man in Black is like, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you're that dedicated. I don't think you're ready for it, or you're not gonna make it. That's why he said that. So.
this is where they kind of like become a little more conversational. Actually, like they're talking to each other. You also realize that at some point, when Roland starts talking about what he saw in the dream, it's almost as if the Man in Black doesn't know what that is.
Like he hasn't seen it before.
He said, "You don't know, oh great sorcerer who brings the dead to life. You don't know. You're a fake." The man in black says, "I know, but I don't know what."
And it says white light.
Well,
And then a
You
blade of
repeated
grass, a single blade of grass. Yes, that filled everything. It was tiny, and I was tiny. But it says the blade of grass had purple on it, which is also symbolic. But like pretty much like
and then he talks about the universe is the great all and offers a paradox too, great for the finite mind to grasp, as the living brain cannot conceive of a non-living brain, even though it think it can. The finite mind cannot grasp the infinite, which means like when it says the living brain cannot conceive of a non-living brain, like back when the man in black resurrected the dude, like how many other walking or in the same thing with the slow movement, which may have been like a form of living, dead people. This is where that made me think of
Blinded by
quite
their
so much
greed or
zombie,
something.
but necromancy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
so. This
That
is
is
when he
just-
kind of gives him the fucking like rundown of like a lot of things. There's a lot of very like high concepts here where
This is where it shoots you to outer space, bud.
where
this is where they talk about. Oh, sorry.
no, please.
No, this is where like he talks like. This is where they set the scene where it's almost like a world after like our current world, because when he talks about things, one company or cabal led the way in its regard north central pastor I cannot pronounce that pastronics.
Oh,
And then he talks
positronics?
Yeah, positronics. Thank you. And then he talks about like how they almost conquered cancer. They almost
that was a
conquered
place.
changing, walking on
North
the moon.
Central.
Oh, but then he even goes into things like where they talk about
It goes back into history.
yes, they talk about like I think one of the main points that he's like putting across here is like the universe is so inconceivably fucking big that you can't even conceive about how big it fucking is, and the way that that's
Like-
possible is like everything is based around size. There's a spot where he says size defeats us. For the fish, the lake in which he lives is the universe. What does the fish think when he is jerked up by the mouth through the silver limits of existence into a new universe where the air drowns him and the light is blue madness, where huge bipeds with no gills stuff it into a suffocating box and cover it with wet weeds to die? Right? Like he's talking about like the very tiny tip of a pencil, magnify it, and you reached a point where you realize that the whole thing isn't even solid. It's composed of atoms that just spin, and when you view them at actual size, the distances become large depths of distance. But when you are at like our size, it's so infinitesimally small you can't even see it. But then he's talking about things about how like the sand of the Mohaine Desert, which you crossed to find me. Imagine the sand, a trillion universes, not worlds, but universes, encapsulated in each grain of that desert. And within each universe, an infinity of others. We tower over these universes in our pitiful grass vantage point. With one swing of your boot, you may knock a billion worlds flying off into darkness in a chain never to be completed. Size, Gunslinger, size. Yet suppose that all worlds, all universes met in a single nexus, a single pylon, a tower, and within it a stairway, perhaps rising to the Godhead itself. Would you dare climb to the top, Gunslinger? Could it be that somewhere above all endless reality there exists a room? You dare not.
In the gunslinger's mind, whose word echo you dare not. Yeah, someone has dared the gun. He comes back with like somebody tried, and the man in black asked who would that be. He's like God. So
God is dared, or the king, or is the room empty? He says, I don't know. And furthermore,
room
I
empty?
don't ask. It might be unwise. Afraid of being struck dead? Perhaps afraid of an accounting. And then he tells him, like, build the fire back up.
Fill
Um,
it up
You only
yourself.
rock
It's
up
the
at
butler's night off.
Quit being a lazy bitch. Do it yourself.
um,
And he goes back into he drowsed and was thinking of court.
Mm-hmm.
What are you staring at? An old saying of courts occurred to him. Do you see your sister's bum? I'm staring at you, of course. Well, don't. He poked up at the fire. He poked at the fire, ruining the precision of the ideogram. I don't like it. You seek the light so soon. I was made for light. And so you were. And whenever I was reading through this little part of the Man in Black, it got cocky. Like I felt like it got a little cocky here. He's like, I've already told you all I need to tell you for now, so this is just bullshit, pretty much.
It's like, let's
Yep.
palaver for a little longer.
Yeah, it's like I picture him sitting back on that with his leg crossed over, and he's just rocking back and forth, kicking it.
Well, they've been going
going.
after each other for so long. He's just like, yo, let's just sit back, shoot the shit, relax a little bit, but fuck your
Just
shape of your fire
chill,
shit.
bud.
Yeah.
So it has been told to me by my king and master. Who is the king? Shall we tell the truth then? You and I, no more lies? I thought we had been. But he persisted as if Roland hadn't spoken. Shall there be truth between us as two men? Not as friends, but as equals. There is an offer you will get rarely, Roland. Only equals speak the truth. That's my thought on. Friends and lovers lie endlessly caught in the web of regard. How tiresome. I wouldn't want to tire you, he says. So let us just speak the truth. He had never spoken less on this night. Start by telling me what exactly you mean by glamour. Then he goes into enchantments and talking about his king and
When I think glamour, I think like probably what's in D&D, where like
glimmer.
what you see isn't
Yeah.
like what it actually is. It's like a
It's
spell.
like a veil, yeah.
it's a spell to change your appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
You definitely get a lot of the information there about like how he justifies like him doing the things that he's been doing. There's a
Well, it's
lot
the
of
same with,
like
the Men in Black. He changes
discussion
his
about like
faces.
the tower itself, what it
Mhm.
is.
Glamour.
Yep. And then
Before
he's
you
like,
meet the king, you must first meet the ageless stranger.
Yep, that's the next thing. Is the
I wonder
stranger
if he means
minion of the
himself
tower?
or somebody else.
Is it his
Right.
other face? Or is it the next trap? Like the next big trap?
Yep.
But he keeps telling him, he's like, that's not what you wanted to ask. What's the question you want to ask? So he starts going down into other things like, if you've never seen your king and master, how do you know him? So he answers him. He's like, he comes to me in dreams, but you're at the apotheosis, Gunslinger. You are my climax, he teetered. You see, someone is taking you seriously. And the stranger does have a name. Does he have a name? Oh, his name. What is it? Legion.
Which pretty
See,
much
that's
just
the
means
thing.
like everything. Like that's a not
Yeah.
answer.
yeah.
The stranger though, is he a minion of the tower? He says he darkles, he tinks, he is in all times. Yet there is one greater than he.
So the guy above the man in black is still not the man in charge.
He says, I do not know, I do not wish to know. To speak of the things in the world is to speak of the ruination of one's own soul. He's like, I'm not I'm not even gonna talk about it. Doesn't matter. But really what he wants to know is, will I succeed? Will I win through? If I answered that question, Gunslinger, you'd kill me. I ought to kill you. You need killing.
You know, maybe we'll start saying that instead of I'm going to kill you. It's like, you need a good
Well,
killing.
you need
right?
killing. That's for sure. Those do not open doors, Gunslinger. Those only close them forever. So then he tells them, you start west, go to the sea, where the world ends is where you must begin. And the advice was to wait. It was bad advice. Even if my plans against your father had proceeded, he sent you away, and when you returned, I did not hear you speak of that. Then hear this. When you returned, Martin had gone west to join the rebels. So all said anyway, and so you believed, yet he and a certain witch left you a trap, and you fell into it. Good boy, and although Martin was long gone by then, there was a man who sometimes made you think of him, was there not? A man who affected the dress of a monk, and the shaven head of a penitent? Walter, the gunslinger whispered, and then he came to, so far in his musings, the bald truth still amazed him. You! Martin never left at all, at your service! I ought to kill you now!
Thank you. Like, now you know.
Gotcha,
Now you
yeah,
can
that was
see
me
it.
too, right? It's like, that would hardly be fair, besides, all that was long ago. Now comes the time of sharing. You never left, you only changed.
Yep.
He's stunned here, like he doesn't get it, like, holy shit.
Man in Black's like, come on over here and sit.
He's like, yeah, let's exchange stories. And then he's like, well, I don't talk of myself. Oh, tonight you need to. Tonight you must. So what may we understand? Understand what? My purpose? You know that to find the tower is my purpose. I'm sworn. Not your purpose, Gunslinger. Your mind, your slow, prodding, tenacious mind. There's never been quite one like it in all the history of the world. Perhaps the history of creation.
This makes me think, because there's obviously been other gunslingers, and he's saying he's the last one. I think it's because he's different. There's something about him that's different.
There's definitely something about him
far.
that's different.
So, and that's why
He's
the
the
man in
youngest.
black. That's why the man in black is there. Because when he says that you're my climax, it makes me think like it's like his last one. This is his big hurrah before he's like done. So
like
it's like fated.
the very last
His
bit of information
purpose.
that he gives him is, he says, it starts with, you must understand the tower has always been, and there have always been boys who know of it and lust for it, more than power or riches or women, boys who look for the doors that lead to it. And it says down here, he would be invested with the power of drawing. But that's not exactly right either, the man in black said, pitching a cigarette to the remains of the campfire. No one wants to invest you with a power of any kind, Gunslinger. It's simply in you, and I am compelled to tell you, partly because of the sacrifice of the boy, and partly because it's the law, the natural law of things. Water must run downhill, and you must be told. You will draw 3, I understand, but I don't really care, and I don't really want to know. The 3.
So like, he's only supposed to know so much, and what he doesn't already know, he doesn't want to know because it'll change something.
Yes. He doesn't want to
That's
know.
why the man in black's called the interloper, right?
I like the fact he finally gets tobacco again.
Is he called the interloper?
Well,
Is the man in black called the interloper?
I think they called Roland the interloper when they were
that was
tall.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the meddler.
That was the trap that he set with the
That was
witch
back in
lady.
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, "You have one more thing to say, don't you?" "Yes," the man in black said. "Let there be light." There was light, and this time the light was good. But then it's like Roland wakes up, 10 years older.
Yep.
10 years older. Took him
Yep.
10 years to get to that conversation with Walter.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Is his hair thinned up in these peaks?
He mentioned something about avoiding. He was avoiding eating an oily rabbit before, but he couldn't help the fact that he was going to.
Give into the tobacco, at least. Because I think the reason why he missed it. Sorry, it was just the part that we skipped. My
Well,
bad.
there's also a place here where the man in black is pretty much
It's a laughing skeleton.
in a rotting
black
robe. But then he like he grabs the jawbone and jams it into his back pocket again.
But he's not even sure that it's like the man in black. He thinks it is, but even he says,
If it is. I have my doubts.
Definitely.
Is it really you? I have my doubts, Walter. Oh, Dim, I have my doubts. Martine. That was.
I don't know. I just said Martine the other night because it just sounded funny.
Oh, well, Marten. Martin is usually Martin. Martin. So
I'm gonna assume Martine.
Well, pretty much here.
Love reading. You read so much shit
He
in
began
so many
west again.
fantastic, weird ways.
His back set against the sunrise,
It's exciting.
heading toward the ocean, realizing that the great passage of his life had come and gone. I loved you, Jake, he said, aloud.
Yeah, I like that. How he
He
was
really did
just
care
looking
about him,
back.
but then it's like he had to like harden himself away from like him because he knew he was gonna hurt. And that's the reason why like the man in black was like, you know, that last one really hurt you. Like unlike just screwing some lady that like you knew something was gonna happen, whatever, he tried. He had a couple of chances to like give up Jake, but he didn't. He really did try. So like that last, you know, that's I feel like the gunslinger was really attached to him by then.
Absolutely,
So.
he like it was a real sacrifice. You know, it's kind of a fucked up correlation, but in the Marvel Endgame, the Avengers Endgame, where Thanos had to kill his daughter to get the stone.
It's like you have to.
Yeah, like he had to give up something that he loved to pay for the bit of knowledge that he ended up getting from the Man in Black. And even though he's obviously willing to pay the price, like he had to pay something that was worth enough to like pay for the information that he got. So it was, you know, had to be a worthy sacrifice. It couldn't just be like some kid he met one time and didn't know. Like he had to save him. He had to live with him. He had to get to know him. He had to spend time with him.
He shared his
This
coming
was
of
his
age and all
purpose.
this other stuff with him too. He shared a good bit of his past that he hasn't. Sounds like
Correct.
he hasn't done with a lot of other people.
Yes.
And he starts bitching at the jawbone.
Yeah.
How many lies did you tell me? He asked me. He was sure. But what made them good lies was that they had been mixed with the truth.
Yeah.
So like now it's his job to cipher through and try to pick out the berries. The
Yeah.
tower somewhere ahead, it waited for him. The nexus of time, the nexus of size. He began west again, his back set against the sunrise, heading toward the ocean, realizing that a great passage of his life had come and gone. The stiffness wore out of his body and he began to walk more rapidly. But that evening, he had come to the end of the land. He sat on a beach, which stretched left and right, forever deserted.
Beach ship.
The waves beat endlessly against the shore, pounding and pounding. The setting sun painted the water in a wide strip of fool's gold. And then I'll just read the last paragraph. There the gunslinger sat, his face turned up into the fading light. He dreamed his dreams and watched as the stars came out. His purpose did not flag, nor did his heart falter. His hair, finer now, and gray at the temples, blew around his head, and the sandalwood inlaid guns of his father lay smooth and deadly against his hips. And he was lonely, but did not find loneliness in any way a bad or ignoble thing. The dark came down, and the world moved on. The gunslinger waited for the time of the drawing, and dreamed his long dreams of the Dark Tower, to which he would someday come at dusk and approach, winding his horn to do some unimaginable final battle.
Ignoble means horrible, wicked, or disgusting. So it's like he felt lonely, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was just.
Yeah, that's how I figured it. I was like, Ig is sort of like dis, but that's how I. Yes.
I like the fact that he uses fancy words.
Fancy
Titter.
ass words like
There's titter, which is like a half chuckle. It's like it's like a, you know, and then there's ignoble
Palaver?
and palaver.
palaver's like P-Pop's number one word.
It is. We've used it like 5 or 6 different times.
We'll
now.
palaver
This is
about
in,
it
like, the
later.
first book.
Yeah. Yell at the kids, get your ass over here, let's palaver.
Y'all quit palavering and get your asses inside.
Or that's what you say whenever you're trying to get somebody to leave your house, like. Or,
Palaver's
"Come on
over.
now."
So we are finished with the book. Great book. You guys, the overall story here is the man is tortured into this quest where he feels he must complete to find the tower. He needs to get to the tower. Like that's what this book kind of starts for you. Is he's on a quest to the tower, and he will obviously do whatever it fucking takes to get there.
Because he's just realized his entire life has been about this quest.
Exactly. He's meant to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like
since before, long time back.
well, this man in black here has kind of been his opposite this whole time.
And
Even
he's been there the whole time.
even in his demeanor though, he's like the opposite of who Roland is.
Whoever Walter has been in his life, he's an opposite of like Walter as a whole. Like throughout his life, he placed things to mold Roland into the opposite of him.
But he's also been pushing him to like do it wrong.
And he's
Be
also,
hasty.
yep.
So there's a definite feeling of like him having some sort of control over at least getting it started. And what you realize, like what he said is like this is the end of the beginning.
Yeah, and I think he's been wanting him to be a Beatles fan all along.
Yes, he's been Hey Jude the
That's
shit out
Walter's
of him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that's like the last song in the world that everybody's got to hear is fucking Hate You?
Yeah,
I
Roland
can
was
think
actually
I
a
can think
Stones
of worse
fan,
songs. Okay, like
Yeah.
That's true.
In ragtime, though.
yeah.
Jude.
Don't
Ready
you
to
be
do-
afraid.
I'm ready to
I'm looking forward to the next
Oh,
book.
shit.
Hopefully you guys grab a hold of it
The
soon.
next book is The Drawing of the Three. We're going to be reading that in 20 years.
Is it the same narrator?
I don't
Who's
know
that?
which.
I think it
Copy
is
I
George
have.
Goodall.
Oh god, I hope
Because
so.
we decided last night that Cand is a better narrator than the guy they currently have.
I don't mind the
Uh,
audiobook, but I do like hearing Can's version versus the other one
No,
because
he's better. He should read audiobooks.
everybody's interpretation of how Roland's sound is interesting. Because Can makes him sound like not like robotic. Like the dude that does like the audiobooks just make him sound like
I don't like the narrator's little kid voice either. That bothers me. when he did,
I don't
was
know
doing
why.
Jake.
It could.
all I think is, like,
There's
some
no
old
sense.
Southern man going, hello.
He just talks like a kid. I like that the guy that had the Zoltan bird. Whenever he popped that voice out, I was like, "Holy shit! Damn!" Books are cross-platform for sure. In paperback and in your ears, ear holes. Hello, little boots. Good evening.
Are books cross-platform? Only if you allow them to be. It's all about the publisher, really.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing because I hate. Sometimes I'll get into an audiobook series and like the first audiobook will be separate from like the rest of them because like they had to do like a test person. And it drives me
Yes.
fucking nuts.
Or they had like 15 different people.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, sorry. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I'm just trying to figure out how to chop this up into the right amount of chapters.
Like the Seventh Son series, the Spook's Tale ones had like 3 different people, and then like towards the end, then they were doing voices for like the female characters and the male characters that were different from the original ones. Oh my god, it drove me nuts.
Have you listened to or read the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton?
Mm-mm.
You should look into that. I think you would really like it.
I'm currently on the Glass and Steel series from who is it?
I don't remember the author's name.
C.J. Archer.
I think we could probably get to
We have
chapter
the
3.
book of the Drawing of the Three, right?
I think we can read up to chapter 3.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I think we should do
Into
like,
chapter 3.
It is only In my
We couldn't
book,
even do-
with large letters, it's only 50 pages, and like half of them are going to be like not whole pages.
Are the pictures in these 50 pages?
On mine, it is, yeah.
Okay,
I don't
that's
have
good.
a good version, unfortunately.
And it has a prologue in that, and it has the forward in that as well. So that's
Skipping over those, correct?
no. Read those two. Read the prologue.
3 chapters, press the prologue afterward and forward.
Mine
Great.
actually starts with an argument as well, but the argument is just kind of like a
We're
synopsis.
doing the afterword too. Just jump and come back.
Do the argument,
Get the
do the prologue, do the pre-prologue, and then do the prologue, and then do the post-prologue,
then do the intro,
and then do the intro, and then do the post-intro. Then read the chapters.
Don't forget the little message to.
Don't cross-reference.
Right, go back, read the
Or-
table of
Okay.
contents.
Do we know if there's 17 editions of this one as well, or?
I know. I believe these are all the same now.
Okay.
It is.
I want to read them on stream. I want to actually stream
Do
it
it.
to like YouTube.
Do
and
it.
read it.
That'd be great because there's people that don't like. Not all libraries have the audiobooks. Not all people can pay for it.
And if you're performing
like,
it, it's not copyright.
And I'm not charged. Like
Right.
one, I don't have enough subscribers to monetize, and even if I did, it's not my. This isn't mine. It's just my adaptation, I guess.
Right. Yeah. You would just need to like perform it your way, and then it's your performance piece, and it's not.
You gotta dress all in black though.
I mean, you know, just put some stuff up. You know, maybe have some sounds. Maybe set up some
Oh, you're good with this now.
different cues and stuff. Like,
voice
now,
changers.
now you're talking about a.
like,
production.
yeah. Well, I mean, like,
Jesus, I was just gonna sit here and read, just be like, "Hey, what's up, y'all?"
yeah, but like, wouldn't it be cool if you
Give
could
me a
sit
little
there and
background
read,
screen
but then
like
you had
that.
like a fireplace, you know, with some some crackles and the sound of like,
That one, though.
and a
yeah,
nice drinks and beside you.
yeah, you know, maybe like a nice like
whiskey
scotch,
glass.
yeah,
Little-
dude,
little-
like
Scotch is good for reading too.
it certainly is.
I've never drank it though.
It's good for talking. That's for damn sure.
I'm gonna go.
That's why all them business folks sit there and drink scotch.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it a
gonna
night.
go?
It's been a great episode. We had to squeeze two chapters into one here, but I think we did a good job. I'm looking forward to starting the next book with you guys. Next week we'll be reading the first. If you can't make, do you think maybe two chapters, or do you think three is good?
I gotta find
I
a
think
book.
Okay, yeah.
I think
I
two is
gotta find a
good.
book.
I think 2 would be good, just because we did all right. We could.
They're not that
about
long.
An hour. For an
Jump
hour,
on our
but-
Discord and then also follow the Sneak Thief on Twitter, and we'll be putting up some updates for.
They really are not long chapters. I think 3 is good. If we're gonna get through this in a timely manner, I think we should do the first 3 chapters.
Yeah, because I don't think we can do one chapter at a time. For every single.
And
for, like, a
if
longer
if we
but-
need to, let's see.
I'm fine with that.
Can you get a hold of the book, Steve?
Oh, I'll have to go to a bookstore. I'm not sure I'm still allowed in those, but we'll see.
I think if you ask nicely, they might let you in. Just tell them what you need. Maybe they'll like walk it out to you.
Yeah, that might
All ahead of time.
curbside shopping. Yeah.
All right, guys.
This
Say
is
goodnight
a
to the
hot
stream. Good night,
Good
stream.
night.
Good night, stream.
Buy your books with cash. Yeah, I actually told you guys that earlier, didn't I?
Yeah, that was earlier.
Pay
Yup.
for books? The fuck? I do plan on